Susanna saying, do you think that the international community, especially European countries, will put more pressure on the IRI? Okay, Ron, okay. Due to their executions or putting dual nationals on death row by cutting ties.
The reason why Susanna is saying IRI is because Susanna is aware that a lot of people get upset if you refer to Iranian government as Iran. So yeah, Islamic Republic of Iran. Some people don't even say IRI; they say IR, Islamic Republic. Some people don't even want to mention Iran when they refer to the government. I hope it seems like it. It seems like Belgium is becoming very aggressive. Germany is making it a big deal. I do understand that it's mostly for political reasons, but we have to take what we can get. Like human rights needs to, we need to reward politicians to show that when they make human rights measuring, like include that in their measurements on whether or not they want to get closer to countries like, and I know they're hypocrites. I know they don't have the same standards for a country like Saudi Arabia, but given how little human rights matters seem to matter, and when it comes to deals like this, them putting it, even mentioning it, is like such a breath of fresh air for us, that we need to, like, I know a lot of people are going to come and say, like, it's not that, it doesn't seem like that big as important when it comes to calculating how to negotiate these things. And also a lot of people will point out to the double standards that these countries have with countries like Saudi Arabia. But our strategy as human rights activists has to be that whenever human rights is even a small part of their calculations, we need to reward them. We need to congratulate them. We need to tell them that, we need to such as promote it as a way to celebrate any politician that makes this an issue, because politicians will respond to rewards that they get from better PR or more votes, right? So our strategy has to be to reward them with this, I think.
Yeah. So and I was thinking something else about that when you were talking about it. Yeah, I was talking about one of the reasons that they have these ties, European countries, is because of their oil relationships, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. And also based on which country is a political ally or not an ally.
And I make my usual point on this to everybody, just to remember that this is why clean energy and getting off of oil is a national security issue. It's not just an environmental issue. It's not just a green issue. It is actually a national security issue. I mean, one of the reasons that the world has been subject to so much crap from Iran and Saudi Arabia is because of their dependence on this oil for many decades.
I think one thing else I have to mention is that the Islamic Republic, I think some people in the government were under this illusion that Europe would play favors with the Islamic Republic against United States, and they underestimated of how, even if like there are some disagreements between European countries and United States, they are way more they're natural allies in ways that Europe would never be close to a country like Iran. Like the whole idea of like, oh, Trump is making Europe closer to us, like I think they overestimated of how big of a deal that was, and how close European and North American countries are as like real allies, that these are just small disagreements, a small fracture in their friendship that will go back up as soon as somebody like Biden comes into power. So yeah, I think they overplayed there. Like they relied too much on the Islamic Republic, relied too much on Europe, and now they're thinking, oh my God, these people are turning on us. Anyways, let's go to Jim King.
It's a really good question from Jim King. Trump has unilaterally extended sovereignty over territory not recognized by the international community and in contravention of UN resolutions, Golan and Western Sahara. What will Biden administration do? So for context, I mean, in Morocco, the recent deal with Morocco, there was a dispute over the Western Sahara. There's disputes with Mauritania, neighboring Mauritania. The International Court of Justice has not said that they have sovereignty over it. They've said the opposite. But one of the quid pro quos, like for the ties with Israel that Morocco recently established, diplomatic ties, was that Trump essentially said, okay, you have sovereignty over the Western Sahara. That can cause potential conflicts with Algeria, potential conflicts with Libya. There is, a whole geopolitical scene happening in North Africa over this region that can be ignited by it. So yeah, there is a risk. What will the Biden administration do? I don't know, Armin, what you think, but I don't really think they're going to do much. I mean, usually, aside before Trump, if there was a policy that was enacted by a previous administration, nobody really just ripped it up and threw it away. They may sort of reformulate it, like when Obama came in, he took the war on terror, he turned it into the AFPAC strategy, the Afghanistan-Pakistan strategy, but he didn't overturn anything. He kept the integrity of the U.S. policy intact and continuous, because if you don't do that, if you just rip up deals like Trump did or back out of like the Paris Accord, things like that, that destroys your credibility. And destroys how much people can trust you. So I think Biden will probably.
Wait, was that done by Trump administration through just with executive order? Like, how was that done?
What was?
I don't know the whole promising that to Morocco, like where
the Western Sahara.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was just done unilaterally. So the U.S. president.
Yeah, I know it was done unilaterally, but without any other countries, and that's why the United Nations and everybody was like shocked by this all of a sudden promise. But within the United States, like legally, how was it done? Like,
so within the United States, to do things like that, the U.S. president has a lot of power when it comes to foreign policy. They're domestically very weak, right? Because they're dependent on the Senate, they're dependent on the Supreme Court, the House of Representatives. Everything it has its checks and balances. But when it comes to foreign policies, they can kind of pretty much have free reign to do whatever they want. They usually do it on their way out, and their second term is when they.
Yeah, but the problem is that I don't see any point for Biden to undo that. But at the same time, Biden has mentioned that he seems to be signaling that everything that Trump has done without going through Congress, he wants to undo it. So I don't know if this would be one. I don't think
he's going to undo these deals.
Yeah,
you can't undo it, because if there's anything that harms the credibility of the U.S. in terms of people trusting, he's not going to do it.
Okay, so actually, Susanna has a very good point that I want to mention.
Yeah.
Yes, and then after that we have to go. Well, if Iran putting European dual nationals on death row, what the F do they expect? They're pretty effing alienating. Yes, exactly. And again, when it comes to Iran taking hostage dual nationals and also so transparently and so obviously accusing them of being spies, with almost everybody knowing that they're not spies, and this is just a way for Iran relying on the fact that Europeans care more about their citizens than the Islamic Republic cares about citizens. So basically, this is Iran so transparently relying on the fact that they don't care about their citizens, dual citizens. They know that their citizenship they have with European countries, those countries care more about them than the citizenship that the Iranian citizenship is worthless, because Iran will use you as a pawn to kill you because your other parent cares more about you, right? This is basically you have two parents, and one of them is like, if you don't listen to me, I'm going to start beating our child, right? Because the other parent actually cares about it, right? So, by the way, for people that say sanctions is like unjustified in Iran, without all the missiles, without the nuclear weapons and all that, this by itself justifies all the sanctions. This is like Iran actively. This is an act of terror. Iran actively is going after citizens of other countries and taking them hostage as a way to get concessions from them, as a way to negotiate with them. This is an act of terror, and this by itself justifies all the sanctions.
Yeah, you have to have. There's no way. There's no realistic way not to have sanctions. It's just
yeah.
I don't think there's anybody who goes into these national security briefings. I don't care how progressive and how whatever they are, doesn't matter who you are. Once you see the situation, there's no way you can back off of the sanctions. You just can't.
All right, last question, and I don't know much about this.
That's not the fault of the Iranian people. It's the fault of the clerical establishment.
Yes.
So Ahmed Qureshi is talking about, okay, so this is a really important event, and this is not relevant to this conversation, but we're going to talk about it in the future. The thoughts on the death of Karima Baloch in Toronto. So Karima Baloch was an activist for the separation of Balochistan, or Balochi independence, basically, or sovereignty in Pakistan. And Pakistan has a sort of double standard where they want Kashmir. They treat it as some people who should be independents, and that have a big independence fight. When it comes to Balochistan, or very, very severely persecuted, they have the complete opposite approach. And they actually got to this activist in Toronto. She was in Toronto here in exile as a refugee, and she has been that she's died. I mean, we don't know how she was dead. Everybody's saying that she got killed. Generally, a young activist, and this is a this is a huge problem, especially if they're carrying out these things. If this is an assassination, they're doing it in places like Canada. It's a really big deal, and we're going to talk about this in the future.
Yeah, but at the time of the recording of this episode, this happened. This news happened today. So I'm gonna have to wait before I could comment on this. What?
I think it happened yesterday. Yeah, a couple of.
Well, 20. It says 23 hours. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Less than it. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So
it's
yeah.
It's insane how that that's crazy.
I'm gonna look into it. Usually, even if I do get news like this, I avoid commenting about it until there's some more analysis, because usually the first takes within the first couple of days are wrong. So be patient. You don't have to be the first.
Hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.